Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts, and today I'm super excited to be interviewing Mary Jane. Hi, Mary Jane. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, Jasmine. Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I've got to compress like 70 plus years into a nutshell. Yeah. So I started my career as in nursing and as a nursing officer in the Canadian Armed Forces. 2007, I really started to have some serious health issues. That took me into, I think because of my medical background, which is why I mention it, into a deep dive into what is stress, what does it do to us physiologically, and how can we learn to better navigate it in our lives. We can't avoid it, so we need to know how to navigate it, and so that deep dive took me over 4 years, and then in 2011, I finally woke up literally one morning with the idea: you've got so much knowledge in this area and experience at that point that why not share it? So, and that's what I did. I started creating waves, and here I am today.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. Yeah. And you chose today the title, Let's Get Smart About Stress. So I love that title. And we've had loads of comments already about this because, like you said, it's something we can't avoid. So can you tell us a bit more about what made you, I know you have mentioned it, but a bit more about why you chose this topic and what does it mean?
Well, I mean, let's face it, Jasmine, what's happening currently in the world, and we're in a lot of chaos and struggle and fear that is absolutely contagious. So there are lots of changes happening in organizations, reorganizations. The world is kind of in a mess, if I can say that. So the need for understanding stress, understanding its benefits, but also what are the consequences if you allow it to chronically invade your life. That's a critical point. I think that for everyone currently today, the more you can educate yourself on this topic, the more you can learn the skills, then the healthier you're going to be, because the consequences, health consequences of chronic stress are not pretty.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think sometimes it can be like a silent killer. That's what I've heard people say. But yeah, so where do we start with this topic then? Because I know obviously we don't have loads of time, but where would you say we would start? Like the most important thing to start with this?
Well, I looked at the list that you had that you shared with people. I guess first and foremost, I think one of the questions was, what is stress?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that we need. There was a question once asked in a huge room, I think it was at a TED Talk, who here doesn't think that they experience stress? And a number of hands went up in the room, and the speaker said, then you're dead. Because in order for us to be alive, there is always a stress and strain, but in a healthy way. So the stress that we're talking about, and it was first coined, by the way, I mentioned about Canadian Armed Forces, so I think it's what you can pick up that I'm originally Canadian, living now in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
The person who coined the term stress related to our physiological stress was a Dr. Hans Seeley, and he was a Hungarian Canadian researcher back in the 30s when he first coined the phrase. One thing he did say towards the end of his life was that he wished that he had termed the phrase, instead of stress, to strain. Kind of a fun fact about it. So in physics, stress is about the amount of pressure that a material can withstand before it collapses. And so that's how he looked at it. And his definition of stress, which I find really interesting, is I'm going to find it here because I did non-specific. That was the term, the non-specific response of the body to any demand. And I think that's the key, Jasmine, is that the manifestations of stress are multiple, and not any two people are going to react in the same way. And what I might consider a stressor, you might consider something wonderful. Some people love snakes.
Oh, definitely.
You know, some people love snakes. My husband hated being on a roller coaster. I loved being on a roller coaster. So we respond differently. We react differently to stress. And so it can manifest in hundreds of ways in our body. And a really great book that I can recommend is by Dr. Mattei, also Austrian Canadian, When the Body Says No.
Oh, right? So, yes.
Do you know that? Yeah.
Gabor Mattei. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
Gabor Mattei.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I don't know whether I've answered it, but it's something that, you know, we can experience stress when we're in the flow, when we're really energized by the work that we're doing. But if we're doing something that we don't enjoy, or if we are in a relationship that's not healthy for multiple reasons, we're going to be experiencing an unhealthy stress.
That sounds good. So what that brings me to the next question then. So what's the difference between healthy stress and unhealthy stress, and how do we know?
Does it energize you? I think would be the first question I would ask. All right.
Yeah.
If it energizes you, then it's probably healthy stress.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's when it becomes debilitating, when it's hijacked us, and we no longer can separate ourselves from that stress, then you know it's an unhealthy kind of stress. Right? That would be the best way that I can define it. You know?
Just a simple question. Yeah, that makes
sense. There's a word that's not very well known, Jasmine, called eustress. And I think Dr. Stephen Covey, who has since passed away, he coined that phrase, eustress, I believe. But it is about, if you think of EU means euphoric in Greek. So it is about that kind of stress and we need that kind of eustress in our lives because it gives us purpose and passion. All right. But distress, which is what most of us are experiencing, is not healthy.
So if we answer the question, so does it energize you, and we say no, so then what do we need to do? Because I guess it's not always that easy, is it?
Well, it is and it isn't. We were given what I call the magic wand of the body, and just to get into a little bit of the science, the autonomic nervous system, which is what regulates our heart rate and blinking and breathing, which we do 20,000 times a day without thinking of it. But if we focus on our breathing and we train our parasympathetic system, the break of our body, the relaxation, the rest and relaxation part of that autonomic nervous system, instead of having our foot on the gas pedal all the time, that we regularly apply the brake by slow and deep breathing. It sounds so simple, but abdominal breathing is the answer. And there is a real physiological reason why it works. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but
tell us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So the major nerve of the autonomic nervous system is the vagus nerve, and it runs from the base of our brain and into every organ in our abdomen and chest. And when it senses that vagus nerve, when it senses that we're breathing slow and deep and we're breathing abdominally, I struggled over that one. Then it's sending signals to the brain and to the heart to say, hey, Jasmine's no longer stressed. She's breathing slow and deep. So you can change the chemical soup mix from one of adrenaline and cortisol and neurotransmitters that are helping us in the fight, flight, fear phase of the stress, freeze phase. So when that's happening, the body starts to produce, the brain is telling the right organs to, okay, stop the production of adrenaline and cortisol. Let's move into hormones that are the feel-good hormones like oxytocin and dopamine. So there is a real shift in our body physiologically. And we can do that by training ourselves to breathe properly. And that's something that most of us don't do.
No. And so when you say breathe properly, you mean just like breathing from your stomach?
Abdominal breathing. So it's like a bellows, so that your thoracic, the base of your thorax under your rib, the base of your rib cage, that it's moving in and out, but different. Like if I were to say to you, Jasmine, take a deep breath, I'd probably think you'll do, but it's that as you breathe in, your abdomen goes out. So you have to train yourself. And as you breathe out, your abdomen goes back towards your spinal column. So it's like a bellows effect. You're expanding and compressing that lower part of the thorax. It's also where the most oxygen uptake takes place. Oxygen and carbon dioxide is eliminated, and oxygen is it's where there's so many blood vessels in that lower 1/3, and we're rarely using that.
Wow.
We tend to breathe, and as we get stressed, we're breathing more superficially, so
wow. So we should, I mean, it must be hard to change a massive habit like that. So I guess, so what could we do? What small step could we do to just start this? Like,
well, an opera singer, because of course breathing is really important to singers, and especially I guess opera singers. But he trained all of his singers. They had them to lie down with their knees bent on the floor, wherever you can practice this at home, and putting your hands on your abdomen. That as you breathe in, babies do it, by the way, Jasmine. Babies do it automatically. We lose it at some point. So we just have to retrain our bodies to make that connection again. So as you breathe in, you want to see your hands going up. And as you breathe out, you want to see your hands going down. All right. So it's one, and you practice when you don't need it, of course, because what you want is that when you recognize that you're getting stressed and before it's hijacked you, so you want to nip it in the bud, that's when you want to be able to reach into your toolkit and say, okay, just breathe. At this moment, just breathe. And then as you train yourself, within 1 minute, the parasympathetic, the brake of the body, is already reacting, responding to what the messages are being sent to the brain and the heart.
Wow.
Pretty neat,
Sorry?
Pretty neat.
Yeah, brilliant. That's amazing what our body can do. So do you think just start doing that once a day or something to start?
No, I can honestly, I'll tell you my journey, and I probably did it 10 or 12 times a day, because but just for 2 or 3 minutes, just practicing. And I had the luxury at the time that I did this, that I wasn't working. We had no children in the house. I could just devote the time to my health in those moments. So, and I know that's not always the case, but it really, truly, all you need is 2 or 3 minutes, multiple times a day, of practicing this. And within a number of weeks, you're going to find that it becomes automatic. That as you become aware of your stress triggers, you're going to automatically reach for it, because it feels good. That calming influence can feel really good.
We have to, we need to make sure we're doing it correctly, though, don't we? So
that's right. That's right. And I haven't looked, because when I'm doing my trainings and workshops, I teach people how to do it, and I have a really lengthy digital summary of how to of a breathing exercise that I send to anybody in my workshop. But I'm sure if you Google online, I haven't done it, but I was just saying this to somebody earlier in the week, that if you Google online, I'm sure you're going to be able to find good instructions on how to breathe, to do this thoracic abdominal breathing.
Okay, that sounds good. Maybe we can, after the live, if you could put those details in the comments so we know what to search, that would be amazing.
Sure.
Thanks, Mary Jane. Right, we've got a question here on YouTube from Sarah. Hi, Sarah, how are you doing? She says, okay, why do high achieving individuals often feel the most overwhelmed? So,
well, the first answer, I mean, I'm not an expert in high achievers in that sense, but the first answer that pops into my mind is that because you're really hard on yourself. Your inner critic is so ready to unleash itself. And it's a protective mechanism. All right. The inner critic, if you can learn, I can't think of her name. I wish I had it at the tip of my tongue. But she, in one of her books, and if I think of it after, then I will put it into the notes, into the comments, that if you can embrace your inner critic, literally embrace it, and tell it that you understand that it's trying to protect you, that it doesn't want you to fail, it wants you to succeed, that you're paying attention to it, that it takes a lot of the significance out of that criticism that you're telling yourself. It's I think for many people that are high performers, it is about never failing. And so
absolutely.
Sarah, I don't know if that helps.
Just put a thumb up. Thanks, Sarah, for asking.
Okay.
We've got another question here as well from Tom. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining. Why do some people seem calm under pressure while others feel completely overloaded?
Again, Tom, I think it goes back to not everybody responds to the triggers in the same way. So again, what one person can experience, as on my husband on the roller coaster, I'd be wanting to go back for a second time, and he'd be upchucking in the garbage can kind of thing, So it really is about that some people can thrive, and what's going to stress them out are other things than what might stress you out. Yeah,
absolutely. We're all so different, aren't we? I guess it's about learning about ourselves, the self-awareness, working on ourselves.
Oh, that's critical. It really is. Jasmine, this is, if everybody would keep a journal just for a month and ask themselves questions like, what was my stress level today? What went well and why? What could have gone better and why? What are my energy drainers and gainers?
I like that.
That if we start to be able to create this self-knowledge, this self-awareness, it is the key. It is the absolute key to understanding what will trigger us. And when we understand what triggers us, we can take steps such as the breathing, and there are other tools as well, tips. I love the zebra shake. That's another tool.
Tell us
you want to hear about?
Tell us.
I wonder if I have the nerve to do it here. I'm not going to stand up, but it's really about in the context. To paint the story, you're on the savannas in Africa, and you see a herd of zebra who sense that a lion is coming, searching for lunch. And as soon as they get the signal from one of the zebras, they're often racing. And this lion has his eyes on a baby zebra, and mama zebra comes in between. Now, in between the lion and that baby zebra, the zebra can run further than the lion can. The lion can run fast, but not for a long distance. And what happens is that after the lion slinks away to find lunch somewhere else, because mama has protected her baby, you see that within 5 minutes, they're back to grazing. Now, of course, as we understand it, they don't have the imagination that we have. So they're not painting the picture of what if he comes back tomorrow for my baby, or all of these kinds of thoughts. But what you see in that 5 minutes is that their skin is quivering. So it's like electrical currents running through the skin. And all animals have this. Polar bears that have been chased, dogs, if they're startled, they shake their whole body out from head to tail. We've forgotten that somehow. All right. So the zebra shake is literally standing up, finding a quiet spot, shut the door, and just shake it out until you're stomping. And if it's good enough, you can yell. It's like, picture a child with a temper tantrum, but then you're laughing because you know how silly you look. It changes the whole thing, but it also helps to metabolize. And it's just 30 seconds, helps to metabolize the adrenaline and cortisol. And so it's kind of a fun thing to do. So that's the zebra shake. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Amazing. I love these short, simple things. Definitely. And like you said, perspective. Hi, Dr. Carol. She says this topic really resonates with me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And if anybody else has any questions or comments, please let us know. But no, it's really, really interesting, Mary Jane. Is there anything else we need to know about stress?
Yeah, I think look, when I first understood that the heart arrhythmia and high blood pressure I was experiencing were stress related, and I was in my early 50s at the time, you think that you're too old to change. None of us are. No. And I think so. The other aspect that I really want to bring in that I feel is critical to all change, changing thoughts, changing behavior, changing our physiology, is the fact that our brains are neuroplastic. The neuroplasticity of the brain is well known now. The last 20 years, all the MRI research that's been done, they used to think that our brain stopped developing by the age, I think, 30. They know that's not true. We'll develop new neural pathways, new neural connections until the day we die, as long as we have a healthy brain. So we have no excuse not to change. So someone who says, well, I've always been this way, I've always reacted to stress this way, it's you can continue on if that's serving you in some way. But if you don't feel it is and it's costing you your health, then I would say just know that through stress and repetition, through building the same neural connections, the neural pathways, that you can absolutely change how you respond and navigate stress in a different and more healthfully way.
I love that.
Simple.
And I guess, yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, that's okay. I was just saying, again, simple, and it's something that we've got built in to us. So
yes.
Like breathing.
The first step is knowing that you can change. Yes. Something can change. That's really important, because a lot of people, like I've spoken to, like really stressed, sometimes they don't even know they're stressed because it's just their norm.
You've got that right. And I was one of them. I was absolutely one of them. Yeah. The first time that the breathing worked for me, that I felt this kind of whoosh it was literally a whoosh in my body. I thought, can this be what it feels like not to be experiencing stress all the time? Wow. I called myself a stress bunny. And I think since I was a child, I was the people pleaser in the family, mitigating the dysfunction that was happening. And so you grow up just always on your toes, walking on eggshells and trying to people please, and it's exhausting. In fact, exactly. That they've added this to the fight, flight, freeze, those 3 stress responses. They now add fawn. In the last 10 years, they've added fawn. And in English, fawn is also a baby deer, but fawn is when you fawn over someone or for someone, you're trying to appease them, trying to keep the peace. And so as soon as I saw that was added on, I thought, yes, that so resonates with me. Yeah.
Wow. And how do we, I guess I don't know if it comes down to therapy, coaching, like if you're in that state and you don't even know, because there's no point if someone telling you, oh, look, you're a bit stressed, why don't you relax? That's never going to help, is it? Like,
what I actually fear, Jasmine, is that, and I've had this thought many times, I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do, but I know that if people don't take what I tell them and actually apply it, they're going to have to hit the proverbial wall, and then they're going to be forced to do it. So that's really what happened to me. I was 52 on 3 medications for high blood pressure and a heart arrhythmia. And I thought, boy, if this is a downhill slide, if I want to reach 80 or 90, then I'm not doing it in the best way possible. So I didn't have a burnout, but my health suffered. And it's been estimated that 60 to 80%, and some estimates are 70 to 90% of doctors' visits have stress at the foundation. That it's that the reason we're having to see the doctor is stress related. So If you're constantly sick, if you've got the flu over and over again, colds, infections, these are all signals of your body trying to tell you, I'm just about hitting my limit here, when the body says no. All right.
No, thanks, Mary Jane. If you can put that link in the on the post as well, that would be amazing. Anything that you've been talking about that you think is relevant, please put it in the on the comments, because it's so interesting and so necessary. But thank you so much, Mary Jane. Is there anything else you'd like to say before you go?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I'm looking at the time and I know that you wanted 25 minutes. Let's close it off here, and I'll put in some links and other things in the comments section.
Thank you so much, Mary Jane. And if anybody has any comments or questions about today's live, please message Mary Jane or leave a comment on the post. Thank you so much, Mary Jane, and thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine.